The criminal justice system has let us down at every turn, and yesterday was the final letdown. And that's why we're here.
The Alberts and McCabe's are here because the criminal justice system has let them down, despite being among the most well-connected law enforcement families in Massachusetts. In reality, they've benefited from extraordinary protection, including the district attorney himself violating his own code of ethics to personally vouch for their credibility while insinuating Reed murdered John O'Keefe in an attempt to taint the jury pool, all while enjoying the privileged status of witness for the past 3 years, a designation that's granted them a direct line to Michael Morrissey, access to the county's legal resources as if they were their own, and the ability to direct the local police force like a personal security detail.
Canton Police Officer Nix, recorded line.
Hi, Officer Nix. This is Attorney Ken Mello. I believe I just spoke with your sergeant there.
How can I help you?
Hi, Sergeant Ken Mello again.
No problem.
Do me a favor. Take a look at Chapter 268, Section 13A.
So it looked up. So what do you want? What are you thinking of doing?
I'm looking at that statute and saying they're across the street. They're certainly near Albert's place.
All right.
He's a witness, and they're certainly there for purposes of influencing or whatever else the statute states.
Okay.
They're not there for any other reason.
All right. So it's punishable by no more than a year in prison and a fine of no more than $5,000. So,
correct.
There's nobody left to stand up for us.
Think real long and hard before you're a witness in a case, because no one protects you.
Anyone who knows anything about this case knows that they've been protected with the full power of state government. With Chris Albert being a town selectman, the chief of police literally reports to him. But there's something interesting about this picture. Where is Brian Higgins? If he's such close friends with Brian Albert, why isn't he here speaking in solidarity? Or at least sign off on the statement issued by the group following Reed's acquittal. According to nearly every other civilian Commonwealth witness, the negative attention they've received has brought them together. However, you get the sense that Brian Higgins and Brian Albert aren't quite as close as they once were. As far as we know, the last communication they had was a text message from Kevin Albert to Higgins, stating,
"Look, you went off the grid and Brian doesn't understand. You haven't called him. You haven't checked in on him since these subpoenas went out. Everyone got a subpoena but you."
People turned this thing into a tailgate party, it looked like, some days. Board games, cornhole, cookout.
I can only imagine what it must feel like to have a national movement built around the exposure of your darkest secrets, but that all came after John was murdered and has nothing to do with the evidence or facts of the case.
This is a guy that was murdered.
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
Tell them the guy never went in the house. Who was the guy that you were referring to? Does he have a name?
That would be John.
This group of family members framed Reed to cover up what really happened that night, ever since their lives becoming open season for endless conspiracy theories.
What they've done is they've dehumanized us. To the sense where we're not real people.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it to come and yell at us.
Chris Albert's words fall flat after what you will see next. This clip appears to clearly capture him making vulgar, inappropriate remarks in front of Aiden's girlfriend. Listen closely. He's heard yelling something about banging her. A crude reference to Meredith, Aiden's partner.
I mean, we were just minding our, so we were just trying to mind our own business. So what? What did I do? He came up to us. We were walking in.
Shitty Lexus that you got paid for by fucking camera.
No, we didn't.
He's a sack of 2 seconds.
Justice for Peter Berger.
Up and down the sidewalk. 2 seconds.
You'll beat my face.
I wouldn't. I could.
You could. Right. You seem really intimidated. That park that Lucky Lawson saw at 3 in the morning, Chris. Oh wait. Do you have a license, Chris? Do you get to keep your license after killing a man?
You don't want me in my car, right?
Do you? You need an escort, Chris? I'm not going to hurt you, Chris. I just want to ask you a few questions.
Oh, boy.
Oh, look who it is. Look who's here. Here she is.
You know what? I'm so sick of your shit.
Oh, she stole my phone.
I'm sick of your shit.
We're almost like caricatures.
They seem to have done a perfectly adequate job of dehumanizing themselves without help from anyone.
We're pawns.
Have each of you been called murderers? Like actual murderers?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking killed him.
On a daily basis.
Anybody who's touched this case has been called a murderer at some point.
And anyone who's friends with us support cop killers.
The defense's theory? A violent altercation at the Alberts' home, possibly involving other members of law enforcement. Did John ever come in the house?
Never, no.
You never saw John O'Keefe in the house, right?
Never.
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 This family has, by all appearances, misled state officials, lied to FBI investigators, and committed perjury in 2 separate trials. That context is important to keep in mind before assigning too much weight or credibility to what they told Matt Gutman on national television. At this point, they quite literally have nothing to lose. Anything they might say that could potentially get them in trouble has already been said under oath in open court.
These are people in your own community who believe the conspiracy theories, who believe that there were other law enforcement officials and agents involved in this. Why is it people in your own community who believe these conspiracy theories?
You do realize for this conspiracy to be true, it would take 30 to 50 people. You'd have to have multiple cops on 2 different police departments, multiple civilians, the medical examiner, firemen, EMTs, you name it. That's how preposterous and silly this is. And great question. I don't understand how people bought this.
A straw man argument is when someone misrepresents another person's position to make it easier to attack. And this is a textbook example. The conspiracy only requires that 7 family members and 3 close friends all agree to say John never came into the house. Add in the crucial ingredient, 1 former lead investigator willing to help out a fellow cop and close family friend. Now you have everything you need to pin it on the girl and move on. After that, everyone who backs you up is doing it out of self-preservation or fear.
A statement of mine was a false memory. It was not a lie.
But let's remember, the conspiracy didn't work, primarily because Karen fought back and brought in witnesses who these people never dreamed would be called on.
You can't state to any conclusion of accuracy what actually occurred if you don't have the evidence.
Sergeant Barrows, is this the condition of the right rear taillight when you showed up at the Reed household at around 3:15 in the afternoon on January 29th, 2022?
Absolutely not.
Brian Albert says he and Nicole only found out about John's death when Jen McCabe, who is Nicole's sister, barged into their bedroom.
Was just upset, and I immediately thought something had happened to one of her children or one of my children, because why else is she in my bedroom?
Where was the German Shepherd, and why wasn't she barking at all of the activity out front? What about Jen's inexplicable call record? Can you explain the butt dials? All great follow-up questions that the interviewer did not ask. These are the reasons no one believes you.
It's 6:30 in the morning right now.
And what did she tell you?
She said, John's out front.
If he was recalling an actual memory, I'd expect him to say something like, I remember this moment vividly. Jen stormed in and said, Brian, wake up right now. There's been a terrible accident outside. Somehow John ended up hurt badly on the front lawn in the snow. So I jumped out of bed, threw on a robe and ran downstairs. But instead he says this.
And what did she tell you?
She said, John's out front. I think John's dead out front. I said, what the are you talking about, Jen? And I'm like, who? I didn't know.
You still didn't piece it together.
I didn't understand what she was talking about, because why would John be out front of my house?
So massively confusing. There are police officers, EMTs on your front lawn. You're an officer. Why don't you just go outside and investigate or take a look?
I'm not a Canton police officer. I'm a Boston police officer. I was just woken up out of a cold sleep from hanging out the night before. By the time I came downstairs, the police were already in my house. John was already gone. There was nobody to save. I would have taken a bullet for John O'Keefe because he was a fellow cop. That's the most ridiculous question that people always ask. It made 0 sense. What am I supposed to do? Run out front in my underwear and start running yellow tape around the fire hydrant?
No, That responsibility belonged to the Canton Police Department and the Massachusetts State Police. If these individuals were truly innocent, their anger wouldn't be aimed at Karen Reid's defense team. It would be directed at Michael Proctor and the law enforcement agencies that mishandled the investigation and, for reasons still unexplained, chose not to clear them as suspects.
I spoke with a juror tonight who told me she believes a collision did not occur.
Overall, a lot of the evidence had caused reasonable doubt, and that was enough for us not to convict.
A little after 6 a.m., Karen found John's body in the snow. Jen called 911.
911, what's emergency?
There's a man passed out in the snow. No, he's dead. Oh, he's dead. Oh, no.
Hello?
But what raised eyebrows at Reid's trial was a defense theory about a Google search Jen had made about how long it takes to die in the cold. The defense claiming she searched it before O'Keefe's body was found. So much has been made about that Google search that morning. Was it at 6 a.m. or was it at 6:27 a.m.? How long to die in the cold? What's your answer?
She asked me to do it at outside of Fairview at 6:20, whatever it was. Doesn't matter how much I say about it, people will not believe it.
Ironically, what Jen is saying here is actually true. She's completely lost all credibility. No matter what she says, no one will ever believe her. That's what happens when you change your story from one trial to the next, lie to the FBI, and still expect to be taken at your word, despite digital forensic evidence proving otherwise.
The group also hoping to clear up rumors regarding the Albert's dog, Chloe, who had been rehomed after the incident. The defense claimed the dog was involved in O'Keefe's death.
Those wounds were inflicted as the result of a dog attack. Those marks are from teeth.
They've known for 2 years where Chloe is. The state shared it with them.
Matt McCabe chimes in with yet another lie. The defense didn't receive new information about the dog's whereabouts until just months before trial. The Commonwealth never disclosed her location, the identity of her new owners, or provided any concrete proof that the dog in question was actually Chloe. By that point, the Commonwealth was desperate and could not be trusted. A much more interesting question for Brian Albert would be for him to explain why he lied about the dog's history.
But importantly, Your Honor, you have been lied to by Brian Albert. In opposing our motion to get the animal control records, Mr. Albert's attorney told you that Mr. Albert's dog, Chloe, had no history of attacking human beings. Thank goodness you ordered the records, Your Honor, because we learned that was a lie. And to be clear, I do not believe for a second that Brian Albert's attorney, Greg Henning, would lie to this court. That leaves only one possibility. Brian Albert lied to him. Brian Albert told him that Chloe had never attacked a person. Brian Albert was desperate to keep these records secret from the defense and was willing to lie to keep them secret. The fact that those records have now been brought to court and reveal that Chloe attacked not just one but two people in the past, sending them both to the hospital. Brian Albert lied, which is powerful evidence of his consciousness of guilt, but that information was kept from you.